it's actually 2 minutes. How's your life? Good, folks. Ready, gentlemen? Special meeting, 402. The special meeting that we are having today to discuss Chief Carlton's employment contract. He would like to see a couple of changes, and that's really why we're having this special meeting. Chief, I'm going to turn it over to you. If you want to briefly explain what your requests are regarding your employment contract. And after you're done, then I'm going to ask the two commissioners for their comments. And then I'll make a comment. Go ahead, Chief.
Okay. As stated in the last meeting, I asked commissioners to propose some changes to my employment contract. This is my third year. I started in August of 2012 with this district, so in August comes up my 3 years as the fire chief. And really the wording in the contract has pretty much stayed the same, so that there's just some wording differences as an employee. The employer, some of those have become district has become employer, so it's just grammatical changes with that. The reason why I'm proposing these changes is because I want to commit more time to this community as the fire chief. And I'd like to be with this organization for the time frame that I see myself being as a career firefighter. And that is for at least another 15 years. But I've asked for changes in my contract to be 3 5-year terms, which would get me to that time frame in my career. And then decisions would have to be made to go beyond that, or if I would retire from the fire service at that time. So a lot of you know me over these last 3 years and my time before that, and my commitment to this community and what I want to bring not only to the organization but to all the visitors and people, residents who live here on a full-time basis, the protection and the response from the organization that you truly deserve and that you should expect from this organization. That encompasses professionalism, integrity, and morals from myself and from every member of this organization that is a volunteer or employee. So to come back to the contract, my hours are currently, in the current contract that I function under, my hours are 80 hours per month. And I'm asking that those go to 100 hours per month on a regular basis for the first term for the 5 years. Working facilities, we've just drafted some language in that. We took it, in my job description I had a tools and equipment section, and what I did is I took that tools and equipment section and I actually put it into the employment agreement because it really has nothing to do with my job description. It's more of an employment status. And those changes just state that I shall have the facilities that include an office, personal computer, smartphone, a telephone, copier, fax mail machine, and other equipment necessary, including furniture and supplies, to do the job of a fire chief. So that's within the contract. I'm also entitled to use the district vehicle at all times, including for reasonable personal use, and that is due to our escalade nature of Point Roberts. That if I'm south of the border, and if the border closes, in regards to that it closed down because of a shooting, I'm still capable of getting through that border on an emergency basis if I need to, and therefore I would need a vehicle to do that. I wouldn't be able to do that in my personal vehicle. So that is within the contract. I can tell you that I did a salary survey amongst the fire chiefs here in Whatcom County and their benefit packages and stuff. And I don't believe there is a fire chief that doesn't have a district vehicle within this county, whether it's a volunteer organization or a paid organization. The organization or the district supplies that for them. And the biggest meeting is so that they can respond at any time. I don't know if a lot of you know that I am down in the county on a weekly basis, not only for my job in Ferndale, but also at chiefs meetings, operations meetings, and EMS meetings representing this district. Christina Tersaki and I just went to a general EMS council meeting this last Monday to represent District 5 too. So I do a lot of business with the district back and forth. My compensation, I don't have any changes in my compensation. It's at $50,000. That's what I'm referring to the commissioners at this time. The term of the agreement is September 1st to September 1st. And we did that to just simplify the time frame versus being September to December. We made sure that it was from a standardized point of view from September to September. And the first term of the contract, because I'm asking for 3 5-year terms, the first term would be from September 1st of 2015 to September 1st of 2020. The second term would be September 2020 to September 2025. And then my third term under this agreement would be September 2025 to September 1st of 2030. After my third term, the district would have the right to non-renewal of any type of further agreement or employment of myself at that point. Because I'm wanting to relocate here and build a life here with my significant other, Pamela, she's in the back of the room. So I don't know if any of you have met her, but if you haven't, you can introduce yourselves. Our plans are to live here. So she works in Vancouver and currently lives in the Ladner area, and Point Roberts would be the best place for us to permanently put our feet down for the time that I'm fire chief here, and would be just fine for her to commute back and forth as well. So it only adds about 10 minutes to her commute in the morning. So I would still be going down to District 7 on my position there, obviously my 6 to 8 days a month from the point. But instead of commuting the other way, I'd be commuting from here down to Whatcom County for my job there. So that's the non-renewal clause. Within that agreement to renegotiate my contract's term is a new area of the contract. All it states is that in the event the district becomes my sole employer, the parties agree to meet and renegotiate the terms of this agreement for the mutual benefit of both parties. So in 10 years, or 12 years, 13 years from now, I decide to retire from my firefighter paramedic position, that at that time the district and myself would have the option to renegotiate me up here, therefore probably becoming a full-time fire chief up here and even giving more to the community at that time. So that's been added to the contract. Due process, not a lot has changed in that. The employee shall be afforded an opportunity within a reasonable time frame, is language that's currently being used, to refute and or explain any allegations either orally or in writing at employee's choice before the Board of Commissioners in an executive session convened for that purpose, including the right to have representation of employee's choice at such time. The parties shall agree on a mutually convenient time and place to discuss the allegations prior to the Board of Commissioners taking any negative employment action. So that's due process for me. So I am not hit with subjective accusations, that the accusations against me have evidence and are objectively based. Therefore, I have the right to acknowledge those accusations and respond. Non-disparagement hasn't changed. Termination without cause. We have added language into this section, and it's to protect me in the case that I have a commissioner panel that comes on board, and for the commitment that I'm giving this community. Therefore, most likely, passing up other opportunities in my career in the future, that if I'm here for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, if for some reason the commissioners want to terminate me without cause, and that's because, an example, they just don't like me as the fire chief, that the termination without cause would incorporate a penalty back to the district. Fire chiefs need to have the confidence of the district in which they work and the support from the commission, and the fire chief also needs to give support to the commission equally back for that. So the money value associated with this is, if I decide to purchase here on Point Roberts, then I have the ability to meet my financial obligations from the commitment that I've extended to the community as the fire chief. So if I come here and spend $400,000 on a home, and 2 years from now, the commissioner panel decides to terminate me without cause, that I've done nothing wrong, they just don't like me and want to get rid of me, then I'm now afforded the finances to help pay off that home or to be able to move to another location. So the amounts stated currently in the contract, that if I was terminated without cause in my first contract term, years 1 through 5, a single lump sum payment of $150,000 would be paid to me, plus the full value of my accrued and unused vacation. In the second term of the contract, years 6 through 10, a single lump sum payment of $175,000 would, plus accrued vacation, would be paid to me. In my third contract term, years 11 through 15, a single lump sum of $200,000 plus accrued and unused vacation would be paid to me. Again, this is, the reason why this was placed in the contract is to afford me the protection against people that have no justification of terminating my employment with the district. Therefore, it puts me in a position that I can concentrate on long-term goals for the district and be able to take this organization into the future for this community. Without that built into the contract, you really have fire chiefs that are not going to do the work because they're never confident that they'll have a job the next day that they come in. And especially if they have a dispute with the commissioner panel, commissioners all over the country will just get a whim and knee-jerk reaction and decide to terminate the chief without cause. So that's why termination without cause has protection built in for me and a penalty to the district if I'm terminated without cause. Termination for cause. So biggest thing is if I don't do my job. If I don't do my job, if for some reason I'm incompetent, I'm inefficient within my job, I'm unable to produce for this organization and for the community, for the protection that we are charged with, the district commissioners could terminate me for that cause. Now, built into that, that does not set the expectation of any of those payouts with the terms that I would be working. So if I am found mentally or physically unfit for the position, they can terminate me for that. After, if I get paralyzed for some reason or I'm unable to, I'm an employee with disabilities, they would have to make sure that I was offered reasonable accommodation for that disability prior to my termination for the cause. If I have dishonest or prejudicial conduct, use of alcoholic beverages or controlled substances to such extent that such use interferes with the efficacy or efficiency or mental or physical fitness of the employee, or which precludes the employee from properly performing the functions and duties of the position of the employee. They can terminate me for conviction of a felony or a misdemeanor involving dishonesty. They could also terminate me for failure to perform my duties described in Exhibit A. which is attached to the employment. And the Exhibit A didn't change. My expectations of me as a fire chief are the same as they were 3 years ago. They're high expectations, and I strive each and every day to make sure I meet those expectations for the organization, for my members, and for the community. I have the right to terminate my employment with the district within a minimum of 180 days notice to the district. The 180 days in my previous contract, it was only 30 days notice that I had to give the district. But in this contract and in my previous contract, I expected the district to give me 180 days prior to termination. So I thought it was very just that I equal that in any termination that I would produce or admit to the commissioner panel. So that 180 days that I would terminate my employment with the district, it needs to be advance notice, but I have a clause that states, except in the case of undue hardship on me. And undue hardship on me would allow the commissioners to forego the 180-day notification. Examples of undue hardship on me would be, but not limited to, the diagnosis of a terminal illness, incapacitation due to accident or illness, and the like. So there's other examples to where I could not perform my duties after the injury or the ailment that I could terminate my employee pretty much immediately on request. Annual evaluation is the same. The only thing that's changed in my annual evaluation is that any information that is negative within that, or if I have negative references brought into my evaluation, those need to be objective in nature and backed up by evidence. So a lot of people use subjectivity as a strength for their arguments without any foundational facts or objectiveness. And I think it's extremely important that if I'm telling something to the community or the commissioner panel, that it's objective and it's factually based. I would expect that if I'm going to get a negative evaluation or a negative point on my evaluation, that I could expect the same back from the commissioners, that it would be objective and evidence-based. So that is part of my annual evaluation. General expenses, a line that was added is subject to budgetary limitations. An employee may participate in professional development courses, conferences, and classes which employee deems relevant to his position as fire chief and which would benefit the district. Nothing has changed in employment detention, dispute resolution, mediation, binding arbitration, applicable of the law, applicability of the law, fees and costs. In general provisions of my contract, 16.3, this is one of the just grammatical changes. Employer changed to district in that. In 16.6, employer changed to district in that one as well. Nothing has changed, nothing else has changed to document. So my current contract is online. It's been online since 2012, since it was ratified by this commissioner panel, and it's there for public access. This contract will, if ratified, will also be placed on the internet along with Exhibits A and Exhibit B. Exhibit B spells out my benefits that I receive, and the only benefits that I receive at this point are vacation time and sick leave from the district. I don't receive any health, dental, I don't receive anything like that. I have those benefits from District 7, which benefits this organization not having to pay those. So since my hours went up, so did the ability of my accrual vacation time and sick leave time. So right now, it is 40 hours a year, both for sick leave and vacation. That hasn't changed. It's just what I can accrue. Since I'm asking for a 5-year contract, there was a 3-year contract prior to, so I could accrue up to 120 hours. Doing the math, a 5-year contract would allow me to accrue up to 200 hours. Now, those hours, because it is a financial cost to the district if I was to leave the district and had the ability to take my accrued vacation time in a payout. I cannot extend my accrual if I don't use any vacation time in my first 5 years. That 200 hours does not roll over to my second, and I'm able to accrue 400 hours then, and then 600 hours. Because that is a financial obligation which I understand to the district, and if I don't use it, I lose it within my terms, my 5-year terms. Sick leave, same thing. If I don't use it, I lose it. And I think in the last 3 years, I'd have to go back into my pay stubs, but I haven't taken hardly any vacation. So I've met my hours without having to do such. So that's pretty much just a overview of the changes in the contract. And the biggest ones would be the payout if I was released without cause. I'm asking to have a fuller contract with 3 5-year terms equaling the 15-year contract or working agreement with the district. My sick leave increase time as well, and objective evidence and information. So that's where I'll stop.
Thank you, Chief. I'll go to the commissioners. Jeff, is there anything you would like to change or anything you'd like to see to changes to the proposal? And if you still, there are a couple items that we have to come to an agreement to, if we can, so, and that would be compensation, yearly salary. And the terms, 3 5-year terms, and the payout that the district is obligated to, if we so accept it, in case of dismissal without cause. Your comments, please.
I suggest that we, because of the scope of the changes that are being proposed, it puts us in a very tight spot. 15% increase over 3 years for 9,000. What's the number? At the end of this next proposed contract, what would your number be?
So my salary,
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm asking for $50,000.
We haven't changed that, as we speak right now, we haven't changed that at all. That might be, or probably will become part of the discussion here. So I'm not quite sure what you mean by 15%.
There's no built-in increases for my salary into this contract.
I thought it stepped up. I thought.
No, sir. There's no built-in increases. The only increase that I've never taken from this district, which is in my current contract and this contract, is Seattle-Tacoma CPI. But I've never enacted that clause. I've never asked for it.
So we're basically still operating on his salary that was awarded to him as of day 1 to 32 months ago.
Yeah, we had increase.
That's correct. We had an increase in 2013.
Yeah.
This is a hell of a contract. I've never heard of anything that comes even close to it. I think that we have to come back again and get the fire district's attorney. This was your presentation, while absolutely comprehensive, was filled with lawyerisms and legal precedents and accruals and counting, and it's a lot to absorb without having spent some time on it and understanding what it's going to cost the district. And if our bosses who are sitting out there in the audience hear this, they're going to perhaps want to participate also, not in a legislative way, but we've gone to the community, and they've been very generous. But this is just, let me ask you a question, how negotiable is this?
Well, I think it's very negotiable, because my perspective here is that I want to be treated fairly as an employee, and I also want to treat the district fairly within this contract. But I don't want to be looked at as an employee that is a yes person, or have a contract put in that would make me a yes person, and not have the best interest of the safety of the community as a whole within medical response and the fire response that we also give. And have the commissioner panel come in the future that have selfish, idealistic approaches to what they view as what should be done with the fire district, with no experience in emergency medicine response or fire suppression mitigation. I think within this, it puts us in a position that I'm treated fairly and justly. That if I'm willing to move here, move my wife here in the future, and make a life for ourselves, I think I should also have the dedication back from the district to do that. I think what I bring to the table is beyond most, if not all, fire chiefs that you've had in the past, within my education, my certifications, my abilities to instruct national courses, and I do that all for free.
Chief, you've got the job. And I think everybody's very happy with your work. This is different. This is not about an evaluation or last year's news that we're going to really looking at your level of compensation and the benefits that we provide now.
You don't provide any benefits at this point, and my compensation, as I've stated to the public before, is $50,000. And I'm looking at, it's up to the commissioners. The commissioners can override me in that salary choice, but I've stated to my entire commissioner panel and to the public, it's on record, it's on video, that if I'm here for 15 years at $50,000, I'm here for 15 years at $50,000. I'm not here to take advantage of the district or the community, but in return, I don't want this district to take advantage of my dedication that I want to produce. And the contract and the payout restricts any future commissioners from taking advantage or mistreating me as an employee, and not terminating me for cause, but terminating me without cause. And it will be a statute that they need to be able to work together. And I can see that there are some people in this community who don't like me, who do not believe that I do a good job for this district or community. And those are the people that are the idealistic, selfish thinkers who would come in here on day one of their terms and ask for my dismissal. I cannot, without confidence and without securities built into this contract, move myself here to Point Roberts, move my wife here to Point Roberts as well, and probably purchase a property here and then be released the next year. I cannot make the commitment to the community without some protections built into the contract for myself. I don't think that is asking too much. I think it's asking and it's protecting and it's solidifying the position of the fire chief. My assistant chief has been here almost 30 years. How many chiefs have you gone through?
11.
And he's gone through.
And 3 of those have been paid positions.
He's gone through 11 fire chiefs. I want to be the fire chief for the foreseeable future. And those numbers within that contract don't go up in my second term, don't go up in my third term. So we don't provide any benefits to me. So the only benefits I get, I don't get health insurance, I don't get anything. I get that from District 7. The salary I'm asking for is staying what I've always stated to the public, $50,000. The commissioner panel has the right to up that and override my decision if they want to, but they can't decrease it. That's built into the contract as well. Nothing's really changed except that I'm offering more hours, more time to this community, and I want to give that further commitment to this community so people know that this position is stable, that my members know that this position is stable, and that I'm able to continue what I've started and take it even further for this community.
Anything else yet?
Yeah,
Okay, let's not get completely drawn out until the midnight hour. Let's stick with-
shall we say that we will not make a decision tonight?
No, I can't agree with that. I can't agree with that. No. I'm here for one purpose, and that is, I was elected by the people on the point here. So
You're actually elected by Stan and I.
as a commissioner, I'm not talking as a chairman. And I have a certain responsibility, and that responsibility includes making decisions, not deferring. That's not my style.
I don't have enough information to make a fair
Okay.
evaluation.
Well, that's entirely fine with me.
So I'd like to make it of record and have it on video that all three commissioners got a copy of a 15-year contract that's currently in place in Whatcom County. It's with the fire chief down at Sandy Point, Fire District 17. It was signed in 2006 and it goes through 2021. That contract has been extended until 2026 by that fire chief and their commissioner panel. So for a 15-year contract, there is such things, and there is an example of that, the dedication that that chief is showing to that district, and the commitment from the district back to that fire chief, and the confidence that they see in the fire chief. I appreciate everything that this commissioner panel has done. Commissioner Wilmot, I appreciate your concerns on the contract as well. I want to let the public know the contract is not built to take advantage of the community. The contract is built so the commissioner panel, the future commissioner panel, cannot take advantage or treat me poorly as an employee. That I have rights and I have the ability to exercise those rights, but in my last 3 years, I've been under contract. And have I ever taken advantage of the contract? I haven't taken advantage of the contract. I've turned down every raise that the commissioners have wanted to provide me. Within my contract, I have a CPI clause that I have the right to take CPI, and I've turned that down every single year. So I'm not a person with my integrity, my morals, my ethics, my professionalism that I've been taught by people better than me through my 21 years as a firefighter. I'm not going to take advantage of this. If I cannot do my job, I will step down voluntarily. But as long as I'm able to do my job and I excel at that position and I meet the objectives that are necessary to run an emergency services organization, then I don't want somebody coming in and just taking it away from me because they don't like me.
Thank you, Chief. Anything else? Yeah.
Yeah, you said that you were entitled to or had been offered a compensation package, which you redesigned and filled out yourself and included no additional raise. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have my wage, if the commissioner panel decides to keep my wage at $50,000, which is what I'm staying, $50,000 for my first 5-year term, we write that into the contract. Okay, and if the commissioner panel wants me to have $50,000 and start enacting my CPI clause within my contract, then I start enacting and I start taking my CPI on a yearly basis. If the commissioner panel wants to give me a raise, which I've stated that I don't need a raise, then I would probably continue not enacting my CPI clause. because of the raise. It's an equality thing. I'm not here to take money from the district when I need that money to expend on operational funds and to expend on having more volunteers, more training, more capability. The last thing I want to have happen is a volunteer walk through somebody's home and be incompetent, okay? Because we don't have the money to send them to training or to offer that training because it's all shoved in my salary. That's not just. That in no way would I accept that. I mean, if I was getting paid $37 an hour, which I was when I was here prior to becoming chief, $37 an hour at 130 hours to 160 hours a month, I mean, you're looking at $7-8 grand, I think. I don't know. A month is what I would be getting paid. By having a contract and a set salary, it's a save for the community because it doesn't allow me to take advantage and document 200 hours and get paid $37 an hour for that. Having a contract in place is protection for myself and the district. But again, with the dedication that I want to provide this organization and the time frame that I want to give this community, I need to have the assurances that with the life that we're going to build, here on Point Roberts, that I have the assurances that I'm able to meet my financial obligations by making that choice. So that's the biggest clause in there, that if I'm terminated without cause, that it does penalize the district, and it should therefore penalize the commissioners that are making that choice. Why would you terminate me if I'm doing my job and I'm doing everything that I can?
That's a good point. That's a good point. And I feel you are doing your job. And I don't understand why somebody would penalize you. You seem to be looking for an insurance policy against a poor review or termination for any number of reasons. In fact, we have no. Here's where I'm at in sort of evaluating your altruistic contribution of part of what would have been your pay or could have been your pay. And that is, you set your definitions of us in the contracts as an employer.
Correct.
And I'm going to read one definition in your employment agreement that you submitted to us, the new one. Perform all duties established by the job description of the position of financial manager, which is incorporated into this agreement by this reference. The employer retains the right to modify the job description during the term of this agreement.
That's the job description for the financial manager.
Oh, so it is. So it is. The Board of Commissioners vests in the fire chief the day-to-day operational control of fire district operations and reserves to the board the policy-making authority and control over all matters of fiscal policy, budget, and financial matters not expressly delegated to the fire chief. That means to me that you have taken on another mantle of employer. You are an employer who is vested in fiscal policy, budget, and financial matters. You can't be your own employee. And when you make decisions like to forego or to defer income, you are interfering with the privileges and obligations strictly reserved by statute in the commissioner panel.
I read you.
Yeah.
Are you referring to his job description?
No, employment agreement.
That will make sure.
I'm the manager of the organization. That is my title, AKA fire chief. The day-to-day functions of the district are in my charge. That does include budget. That does include all of those items that you stated. The board, I produce policies. I bring them to the commissioners for policy approval and engagement of that policy. I write guidelines for my membership to function under, standing operating procedures, operating guidelines. That is my charge as the fire chief of the organization. Now, you stating that foregoing a CPI increase is a violation of my, I don't know how you stated it, my obligation or duties, or it's a violation of the duties of the commissioner panel. If I say no to a CPI and I feel justly compensated for my position, and I do not want to take more money out of the budget for my salary, the commissioners you're my employer, the commissioners have the right to say, thank you for the generous offer, we accept that, please use that funds for operational effectiveness. Or the commissioner panel goes, no, we believe that your service deems it necessary for you to be awarded the CPI. Any CPI discussion that we've had, the commissioner panel has agreed upon. And you've accepted my saying no to the CPI increase. That benefits my operational budget. That benefits this community. So you have the authority to override me at any time. I hope that wouldn't happen when I'm stating items that are necessary to public safety and for the operational effectiveness of this organization. But that could happen too. It happens with commissioner panels all over the nation, that you get a commissioner in that is an idealistic, selfish person, and they come in and want to be the dictator to the fire chief, and they have no understanding of what we do, and they shut down operations pretty much, and don't allow the fire chief to do what they're charged with, and that is to manage the day-to-day financial operational functions of this district. So, are you upset that I've said no to CPI?
No, I wouldn't characterize me as upset. I have no skin in this game. I'm a volunteer. My responsibility, I took an oath to follow the rules and the law and to act in the best interests of the district, which if I'm evaluating my own contribution over the last 12 months, I think I did a pretty good job. And I would like to continue on, and the people of Point Roberts will decide whether that happens or not in short order.
Okay, Jeff, thanks. Not quite sure how to continue on this, but I'll take your comments. Thank you much for them.
Well, let me give you.
You got something else?
Yeah, just.
Okay.
I do.
Please, if you don't mind.
It'll be very brief. The chief said, in response to a question I asked him earlier in this exchange, that he would be willing to negotiate. And that gives me some solace that we can approach this and understand once and for all the division of responsibilities and obligations and the commissioner panel reports in effect to the people of Point Roberts. It's their money. There's a long set of laws associated with the disbursement of that money, the collection of that money, and there's no provision for an employee to make a personal contribution to our treasury. And while it doesn't upset me, I think it sets a bad example as we go down the road. In what you're, and I know when we first did this, I scratched my head and I thought you were nuts. Because I haven't heard of anybody turning down a salary unless they had a private jet.
I may have a private jet.
You may have it. And it should be a hovercraft, so you can land on your deck. No,
Where do you go with this? I gotta ask you this, I'm full, I mean, I really have to know where you're going with this.
yeah, I'm not making trouble. I'm not trying to
No,
grandstand.
I just want to know where you're
I
going.
also know that your expedient and professional manner of pushing through legislation is famed here and there. And that if I didn't step in and some little strident at moments, I can't count on you to pick up where I left off.
Can is there something negative that has happened over the last 3 years with my contract?
Not at all. But you did say when I queried you 3 years ago about being slightly nuts to give back your contract. You remember that we talked about that?
I don't, but it doesn't mean that we didn't.
Well, does that mean you proposed the bonus, maybe?
I proposed a bonus.
The $75,000 bonus, is that the one you want to talk about?
Let's talk about that for a minute. That
Well,
was,
we're talking about it, but if it's actually not done, you cannot do that.
I learned that you can't give a county employee, a public servant, a bonus.
You can?
You
No,
can't.
you cannot.
Because that was one of our discussions about how do we fairly compensate the chief on an annual basis after review. How do we well, it was disallowed, so but there are provisions in here that suggest a bonus, but name it something else.
That it suggests the money built into the termination without cause could be considered a severance
Yeah,
for that purpose. Again, I asked the question, and I can't say that I'm always going to have this commissioner panel that supports me as the fire chief. When I get a commissioner panel that is idealistic, that is more of a dictatorship, that doesn't allow me to function in the managing capability that you currently do, then that's why I'm asking for those protections, because I don't have to worry about it per se now, as far as I believe, but that doesn't state that I don't have to worry about it in the future when all of you are no longer here. And if I'm going to move here, if I'm going to bring my future wife here and live here together, be here even more for this community, I don't see any other way that I could go about having the confidence that I'm not going to be expelled on a whim from the district.
well, every employee in the state of Washington is an employee at will.
That's not correct. So, the state of Washington has collective bargaining agreements, which makes those employees not at-will employees. They have
Set
bargaining
aside,
agreement.
setting aside all employees who are entitled to disability and all the other things that you deferred.
Chief Petrie's contract down at Sandy Point, District 17, has built-in severance, that he had the same concerns about leaving his full-time job or coming down there and moving to Sandy Point, becoming their fire chief, without such an extended agreement in place. They are removed, not as far removed as we are, but within his contract, if future commissioners terminate his employment without cause, they owe him the remainder of the years that he has not served in his contract. Therefore, they could owe him up to $800,000 or more, depending on when they would terminate him without cause.
That's exactly, I want to repeat this. There's a duplicate contract, or a contract that's very similar to the one you proposed, sitting out in District 7 or 17, that creates a liability, potential liability on the district for $800,000 because he claims that he was unfairly treated. I've been in business a long time, and 95% of the people that have been terminated in my organizations or those that I know did not say that they're all unfairly terminated. And that's something that I think we have to pay close attention to. And that's why I said off the top, I think we've got to separate your evaluation and your employment file to bring it up to date. We're going to have an evaluation. We had one last year. We sat down and talked about where we thought you could improve and where you needed resources. You let us know. And we started off the year with a pretty close understanding. I didn't see this coming, but this is not connected in my mind. So I'm not upset. It's not connected in my mind to compensation. I think that you, personally, have earned a bonus and a raise. We can't give you a bonus. We can give you a raise. But then we give you a raise, and you give it back to us and say, we need this for operating expenses. That makes me feel pretty bad because I'm operating this entity so that it doesn't need the chief or the assistant chief or the captain ad infinitum go into their pockets and fund this thing. It's an insult to my management skills, and I get over it very quickly. But that's my position. I think we ought to look at some of the liability issues, look at some of the legal issues, find out from our attorney if a 15-year contract is actually legal or enforceable. I think there may be a question about that. I don't have a question about it.
Yeah, you have a question about it. I answer that's fine. Would you like to comment some more?
No, I think you've taken up everyone's time.
Thanks, Stan. Go ahead, Stan. Do you have any?
I've listened through this. I just think this community ought to realize how lucky we are to have Chief Carl. I've read this thing. I have read this contract over once. I went through it. And yes, some of the things and concerns come up that Jeff brings up. Then I read it over as though our Chief Carlton and where I'd like to be. He's offered to move here and make his life here. And he's offered to give us a fire department that he has exempled to us for the last 3 years. It is absolutely, in my, nothing can be perfect, but this one's 98% perfect. And I would like to see that continue. He has offered to take, essentially, he calls it, it's a cut in salary. He's taking more hours, and he's offering to take a $50,000 salary, which I say, fine. You know, we're lucky, we're damn lucky to have that, and I'd like to point that out. I have no trouble with the 3 5-year renewals, because I want to see Chief Carlton here 15 years from now. I probably won't be here, but I would like to see him here for the benefit of this community. And that's why I was elected, to represent this community, and I intend to do so. I want to give an insurance to the chief that if he moves here, that he can have a life here, I don't want him ending up working in international market because he was terminated. I want him to be able to stay here as fire chief because I think that's what this community deserves. And again, it's not just the first time he's come in. You already have the job and you proved yourself for 3 years. For harmony's sake, why would I disagree with that? I'm all for this contract. And I suppose I could go on and on, but I think that pretty well puts me where I'm at.
Thank you, Stan. I have a hard time even agreeing with that 2-minute speech that you gave. This community is extremely lucky. Chief Shields has gone through 11 fire chiefs. You want to hire a fire chief? You know how long that takes? You know what kind of a system you have to go through? You don't know who you're going to get. We have somebody that is building, or has built his fire department from what it was 3 years ago into what it is now. It is a first-class outfit. We get compliments all the time from other departments. We get so many compliments that they're hiring our guys away to work full-time in Vancouver. They think we're better than their training outfits over in Vancouver. Doesn't that tell you enough? The man is willing to take a pay cut or a cut in hourly pay. He's willing to work 100 hours. He always works more anyhow. He works 120, 260 or more hours. He doesn't even bill us for the hours that he goes and sits in and all those meetings that he goes. If he did that would be well over 200 hours. The man gives and gives and gives and gives all the time. It's time that we give a little bit too. He doesn't ask for much. And I don't know why people, when they see a good thing in front of their nose, why they want to turn it down. I just don't get it. I just don't.
You referring to me?
Yes, I am.
Can I make a comment? The
Go ahead.
last chief I had, paid position is, his salary was $82,000 a year, plus bennies, which worked out to about $15,000 a year. And he worked less time than he did.
Thank you, Chief.
I don't want to go on record, but one quick statement, Mr. Chairman, and I want to address it to Chief Felt. Not once in this exposition that I led this evening was there anything said or intended, if I admitted, to question your integrity, your capability, the contribution you've made to this organization in a very short time, and the constancy with which your commitment is shown. I resent being painted with a brush because I have some serious questions about something that nobody else in this room has even read yet. And that insults me. And I think it's not something that we should, it's not the way we should behave as an organization or as a community. And then that's what I have to say on that.
Thank you, Jeff. You say that. I'll just finish my little statement here that, and I'll say again, we are extremely lucky we have Chief Felton here. It's a good thing that we have him here. We were in bad shape 32 months ago. And I'd like to welcome this guy, this chief, for as long as I can. Okay? And be it 15 years, be it 15 years. He has very valid reasons, in my opinion, that he wants to have a contract that suits him, but it also suits the community. That's all I have to say. Do you have anything to say, Chief?
Yeah, I'd like to add some things. I appreciate your comments to all three commissioners today regarding this contract and my contributions to the community. I don't take a raise and then write a check to the district. Okay, so that's not how I look at it. As do I feel justly compensated in the budgetary constraints that we do have from the finances gained from this community. And at this point I do. Even though I am taking an hourly cut, you can look at it that way. I'm adding more hours to serve this community in regards to staying at my $50,000 salary. I'm okay with that. I have another job. The clause that if the district becomes my sole employer allows us to open it up and change things. If I approach the district in 10 years and say, you know what, I'd like to be full-time chief here, what do you think? Therefore, obviously, my salary would have to be adjusted. My benefits would have to start in then. Right now, that's roughly $1,500 a month in benefits that would have to be paid out in order to get me insurance coverage, which the district doesn't pay at this point. So I look at it as, at someday in the future, we may have to go back to the taxpayers and ask for an increase in the levy that we currently have, because expenditures have gone beyond what we bring in on a yearly basis. I do not want that to be because of my salary, that I'm hoarding all the money. And I look at it that way. I don't look at it as a negative. I look at it as I can use that money to buy more fire hats, to buy more coloring books, to buy more stuff for community events, to buy gear for my firefighters, to put towards the purchase of a new apparatus. That's how I look at it. The commissioner panel has in their authority to say thanks but no thanks. You've worked here for so long, we're going to increase your salary to such and such. But then if you do that, I can tell you I wouldn't take, or I would say no to the CPI. I'm not going to take advantage of this community and double up on money. That is not me. That is not my intention of starting here with this organization. Some point in 2010, I believe, I started teaching up here. And there's much more that this job means to me than the money. And I have to say that the protection I have built in for me if I'm terminated from people who get into this office, replace U3, that have their own ideas, they want to be the fire chief, they don't want me to manage, and they just say, you're done. Well, I'm going to have a life built here. And what do I do then at that point? I have no choice but to probably, if I purchase, to sell, to move out of the area. I don't necessarily want to be in that position. And I don't want commissioners who are unwilling to work with me as the fire chief, or in the future, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, that regardless of the value I'm providing the community, still just say, walk in and go, Ralph's going to be the fire chief. Okay, we just found him. And he doesn't have any fire service experience. He can't bring any of that to this community. He can't bring it to the members, but we've decided for that person. Sure, that's a right, but with cause. Okay? Without cause, there should be some type of protection for me because of the dedication that I've given this community and provided. So the money thing, sure, money helps. I can't say that, money doesn't help. It helps us all, right? Getting raises and stuff. But that's not my reason for being here. My reason for being here is to give effective emergency response to the community and to have responders that are competent within their skill sets. And I require a lot of my volunteers. Okay, since I came in 2012, I've added responsibilities. I've added training requirements to them. Do I hear from them? Sure. But the majority of them meet the standards because they know what I'm trying to do is help them become competent in their decision process so they can make the right decisions when they come through your home, whether that's on a medical call or they're trying to put your house out because it's on fire. I never want to lose somebody because I don't have enough money to spend on training because I'm making $100,000 a year. I never want to have to explain to a family that I'm sorry you lost your husband as one of my volunteers. We lost him in a fire. I wish I could have made him more competent, or her more competent. That will never be me. If this contract is approved, I say it on record. This is going to YouTube. This is out there for the whole world to see. I'm not going to take advantage of this community. I'm not going to take advantage of this district. But in return, I don't want to be taken, again, I don't want to be taken advantage of. And I want to be here for 15 years. I want to be the last fire chief for the next 15 years, right? After that, you're going to have to find somebody because maybe I retire. Maybe the commissioner panel at the time is going to extend my contract until I'm 65. I don't know how it's going to roll out, but I'm telling the community that I want to be here. I want to be that staple. I want to be the constant. I don't want you to have to go through another 5 fire chiefs, okay? I want there to be consistency, and that's really important to the membership, is consistency. And I guess the contract, I stated the changes in the contract. There is a severance if I'm released without cause. And I believe that's very important to me and to my life with my future wife, that's built into the contract. Am I negotiable? Can we discuss, if you need to discuss the amounts? If you would like to change the amounts, I'd be open to discussion on that. But I believe that I have to have some type of protection in there. That it makes idealistic, selfish commissioners in the future think twice before they just let me go without cause when I've given so much to the community. And I haven't done anything wrong. I haven't been insubordinate. I haven't been all of those things that are written in Just Cause. So that's my dedication to you as my commissioner panel at this time. That's my dedication to this community. If the contract's ratified for 15 years, that I'll continue doing the job that I've done for the last 3 and the 2 before that as a division chief and as the assistant chief of this organization. So at some point, I'm going to be walking through all of your doors because you're going to need our service at some point. And I want you to know the fire chief. I want you to know the person who walks through that door and know that there's competency, that there's dedication to you, that there's dedication to this community. And I'm not here to take your money. If you want to give me a raise, great, right? You're able to override me. But then I have to readjust budget items because I took money away from budget areas. So at some point, we're going to have to go back to the community because this money that they were graciously awarded us in 2010, I think it was, won't last forever. It won't last to support this district forever. But again, I don't want that to be the cause of, because I'm taking so much money from this district in my personal salary.
Thanks, Chief. You made the points quite well, in my opinion. Stan, are you in agreement with the terms? What do you feel about that briefly?
I'm in agreement with the terms. Certainly, I suppose we can nitpick and get negotiable on some things.
Please, if you want to talk about something, let's talk about it in front of the public. If the payout amounts are too much, let's talk about the payout amounts.
I went through this contract 2 times, and I finally decided that it was very, very fair in light of our current budget that we operate. It's realistic. It'll harm the department if we have to let you go without cause. More than the money, will hurt this department. But anyhow, no, I have no problems with that at all.
You have no problems with the terms and with the potential payouts?
Not at
Do
all.
you let the chief go without cause? Do you have a, do you want to change the salary for the first term?
No, I do not want to change the salary. It's a great offer, and I'd like to take it as it stands. And I don't mean that as an insult to you, but you've made your point.
I don't take it as.
And I think that this community should say thank you and stay with you. That's what I feel.
You don't feel that there's a raise in the making, that he is entitled to a raise, or can afford a raise in the salary department?
Well, we could, I think it can be revisited.
There's always the CPI. There's always the CPI.
How much is the CPI?
1.2, 1.4.
If you want me to take the CPI, I'm gonna probably say no. If you guys want me to take it, that's your choice. If you give me a raise, then I don't take CPI. I'm not gonna double dip. I'm not gonna take twice from this community.
Okay, I was going to propose a salary of 55,000. I've read this contract several times myself too, just like you. And I was going to say 55,000. We started over 50. 3 years further now, that's 50. And then if we do the first term, that's 5 years. That means for 8 years we could potentially work for the same salary. And I'm not sure if that's correct. I was going to propose personally 55,000 first term. But I'm willing to negotiate on that too.
There has to be a ceiling,
Yeah.
right? There has to be a ceiling, and I have to make a ceiling for my assistant chief. I mean, my assistant chief, I can't just keep increasing in salary. Our budget, that changes $5,000 a year if we take the 1%, which we haven't taken for the last 3 years. And there has to be a ceiling for us. I'll tell you, the average salary for a fire chief here in Whatcom County, I did a salary survey. There was 10 organizations that responded. The average salary amongst those organizations, the high was $134,000 with the Bellingham Fire Department. Obviously, he has a huge job with 150 employees. The low was $42,000, and that is the Alt area. South Whatcom, I think Fire Authority. It's not South Whatcom Fire Rescue, it's South Whatcom Fire Authority. I get confused on that. If you take all of those and divide it, I think it's $94,000. If you take out the high and the low, it's roughly the same. It only increases like $1,000. So you're looking at mid-$90,000 salary plus benefits, which is another $15,000 to $20,000 on top of that. So, I can tell you that the budget here, because I'm the one that deals with it, right? I'm the one that manages the budget, our expenses and everything else. We confer with the commissioners on a monthly basis, showing what we've spent, why we've spent it, if you have any questions. I can tell you that this district can't afford $90,000. I don't believe this district should afford $70,000 for a chief. And it starts getting me a little uneasy, even saying $60,000 as a fire chief here, because again, we don't have, we're able to put it, you can see how much money we've had to put away. We've put away over $100,000 the last couple of years into our reserves, but now you can see how fast that goes. We have an expense if I don't get the grant of $140,000. We have $70,000 trying to improve the communication so our people can actually communicate and get paged out. We're looking at $70,000 a year. We had $17,000 for the roof. I gotta say, I'm not here to take the community's money because I know the expenses that we have that are going to increase in the future and the expectations that we're going to have to meet in buying new apparatus in the future.
Understand, Chief, thank you. Really, I don't want to cut you short, but points well taken. We have expenses and we have to live within our means here. Stan, are you in favor of keeping it at 50,000? Or do you want to change that? Let me ask you that.
I'm in favor of keeping it at 50,000. It's been offered, and I think we should.
Okay. Jeff, do you have an opinion on this?
I have a new idea. The thing that's bothered me from the beginning is the size and the length of the contract. The 15 years takes away all of the, it's a contingent liability that we saddle our future commissioners on. So I would always try to keep the contract closer to the realistic terms of the industry and the people we have now and the people that we're going to get later. And I would suggest that we amend the chief's proposal to include 5 years in the next contract. And I remind us that the contract coming due now is through 2 years. And I think that giving somebody three years goes a long way to assuaging your fears of retribution, what your fears are. And I would be happy to try to keep compensation as a money thing, and not a definition of management responsibilities. So I would resolve to accept the contract with its terms, all except for making it a shorter contract period. And if, as you say, you achieve your goals, integrity and growth and care for the community, you'll have no trouble getting your contract renewed. But to give someone a 15-year insurance policy, it's just not anything I want to do.
Okay, appreciate your input.
Can I respond to that?
Please, briefly. Go ahead.
I can't, if I don't have that assurance, if I don't have that time frame, I cannot move my life here. I can't make that commitment back to this community. I can't do it on 5-year terms. I can't move here I can't move here in 5 years from now. I'm released, and now what am I doing? That's the whole purpose of me designing, an avenue that I can make that choice to move here, become more part of the community, sleep here, live here, be here more. But if my terms are reduced, then I continue doing what I'm doing now. And that is coming here to work and leaving here. And most likely not being here on the point at night. It depends where my significant other and myself decide to live at that point. Then. So I have to make that known to the public. I would not be able to make the commitment of stating that I would come here to live.
Thank you, Chief. I think we're down to brass tacks here. I would be in favor of keeping the, I would prefer a slightly able to sell it, but I'll go with 60,000. I'm also personally in favor of 3-5-year terms. I can see this point completely. I'm not staying for the future and move everything final living here. If we ask him to move here, that requires a commitment from us too. And he's shown his commitment. And therefore, we can show commitment as well. Therefore, I'm in favor of a long-term commitment, 3 to 5 years, 3 5-year terms. Are you in favor of the, I think I asked that already, the monetary payout, without cost, 150, 175, 200?
I am.
I can live with that too. Yeah, I'm not sure where you stand on this. I'm going to ask for a vote. Oh, by the way, any other points that you feel are worth discussing that we should talk about?
I'm in favor of offering the CPI and demand that you take it. I think that's just normal cost of living, that we should do. And I think the department can afford that, the department should afford that, but they don't deserve it.
The CPI from now on every year.
I'd like to state along with that if that is enacted, that I take CPI, that at any time the commissioner panel decides to give me a chunk raise, then I would want to forego the CPI for that period of time. That's just, that's fair.
We understand. Oh, I understand.
I think we understand.
Yeah. Anyhow, we do agree, I think, on the bulk of the contract. The terms, the vacation pay, I mean the vacation time, the sick leave, et cetera, the don't, no benefits clause.
When you get a seat.
Are you willing to participate in the vote? That we fill in the blank, so to speak, regarding, to make an amendment to this contract regarding the CPI?
I've made my feelings, glad we had a forum.
Say again.
I'm glad we had this forum. I made the remarks that characterize my reaction to it. I think it's a heavily flawed formula. I'm sorry that we didn't spend more time and make it more intelligent. But in the sake of unanimity, you have my yes vote.
We do have a yes vote or not? I just want to make one thing clear. Spending more time doesn't make it more intellectual.
No, it depends on what you.
That's how I feel. Anyhow, that's me. Are you two ready for a vote so that we can vote on this? Make a motion.
I would make a motion to approve the contract as presented to us with the amendment to take the CPI.
To take the CPI, the new 3 5-year terms.
Yeah, well, basically as presented to us tonight.
Okay, our letters presented, the 5-year terms.
Right. The salary remaining at
Salary is the
50,000.
same as 50,000.
Well, basically as the contract is written.
All right. Including the changes.
I don't think there's any other blanks in the final contract.
The final contract will write in the amount of $50,000. It's both yearly and monthly that needs to be written in.
My last quick question.
Yes,
Was this the finished contract that you sent brought in tonight? Was that vetted by our district's attorney?
So he contacted Brian Smith. I have nothing.
I contacted him twice.
So he
Messages,
he said there were no legal problems.
What's that?
He said there were no legal
If there were
problems.
legal problems, I'm sure he would have called me back.
I seconded the motion.
Okay, are we all in favor of that?
We are in favor.
Good. Motion passed unanimously. Chief, you want to make those changes quickly on your laptop in your office? Fill in the blanks and bring it back to us? If that's
The only
okay.
person that has to sign it is you, though, I believe.
All three commissioners are on it.
Really? Okay.
All three of them. Well, that's do that, let's have a quick recess. How long you need, Chief? About 10 minutes?
I just need to print it off because there's some changes. It's just a written amount in $50,000.
Would you mind doing that then?
So I'll print it off, clean version, and present it back to you.
Let's get it done.
Two copies.
Yes, sir.
So we're in recess.
Okay, well, do you have a blue pen?
Chief, don't worry about
Do
it.
you have a blue pen?
I've never heard from the county tell you otherwise.
It's not all swing.
I know.
Everything's running for a while.
Exhibit A is James, right?
This is our copy,
Those are your personal copies.
okay? I guess 2 copies of the original right there. He's going to pass them around for a signature.
So what I'll do is get the signature with the blue pen. I'll make color copies. Are we back on?
Yes.
I'll make color copies of this so it's blue, so it shows in blue. So,
Isn't that funny because
You'll pass the pen around.
yes, I'll pass the pen around. So in the compensation area, I put a monthly salary, which is the same as what I have now, $4,166.66, which equates to $50,000 yearly. That has been written in. And then what's required is the 3 commissioner signatures on the back, including the secretary as well.
Would you mention CPI growth?
I did not put anything, I did not change the CPI clause. I'll just enact it on you guys' permission that this one forward.
we need, I need the,
Which one?
we need 2 copies.
Yeah, you're gonna sign this one too. So this is the other copy. So they're both the same.
Pen.
So this is the same copy. This is the same.
The amounts that you
The amounts are handwritten. That's correct. So 4166.66.
You sign. And there's a blue pen right there. Has to come back. Pen stay with it. Done. Okay, there's one sign. Has to be signed by you, Christopher. Needs to be signed by you. And relay. That is needed.
Jeff, do you want the blue pen?
It's too hard. And I don't want to worry about it. When I get back, it's good somewhere. Next week. Okay. Yeah.
Bill, sign that.
Oh, the records have been facing, here we go. Oh.
What's the date? I need your initial salary.
There were 3 the other day. A really good size one. Is it a back? Yeah. Big.
17 pens here.
Oh, the president?
I never figured out how to do it.
There's a little pen.
Okay, now you need to sign.
It seems they're not like they're eating careers. I think you have to mess up with you.
So I'm going to make a clear copy of the one that has their code on it, and then give that back to you to file. That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, signing completed?
Signing is completed.
Yeah, for, take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'd just like to say one thing. You tonight have witnessed, thanks to Bill Mersing, essentially an executive session by the board. Bill did not want to go into behind closed doors and do this. Normally, that's how it is done, according to our CWs, is to go in and we hammer this out. Bill wanted it to be out and open to the public. I cringe, but it all worked out. Thank you for being here.
Good.
It's good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions before?
No comments.
Not comments, questions.
Well, the meeting is over, be glad to answer questions.
Well, I'm not going to ask you a question when it's, when the meeting is closed. The point is not official.
I want to thank all three commissioners. I want to thank the public that's here as well for your support. And I'll give you everything I have until I'm not able to do the job anymore. So,
As we know, Chief, you've done very well, and I know you will continue to do excel in yourself.
Yeah.
so I
We
want
are
to thank
so
everybody.
fortunate to have you.
Yes.
Yeah.
For me and George who couldn't be here, thank you
Yeah,
for being here.
but commissioners, thank you very much.
And
And
it's a pleasure dealing with somebody that's competent and that's caring.
Social media?
Motion to adjourn.
Say the motion is passed too. I'll let you object.
Don't get me started.
Get me started. Are you seconding it though?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yearly.
I assume they agree with that.
I'm going to go make a coffee.
Yeah, I'll wait right here.